Hey everybody, it's Neil with the Dastardly Gentleman. And with me I have Frank. Say hi, Frank.
Good evening.
Long time no see. It's been a couple weeks. We missed you. Hope
I
hope you
missed you, Neil.
oh, I missed you too, dude. I hope y'all are doing great out there. We're worried about you. That's why we're doing this podcast. We got to bring
What
you up
came
to
to check
speed.
up on you?
Yeah, just checking up on you, as the great Bill Burr would say. Or checking in on you is what he would say, actually. I had to start listening to podcasts again because I have a 1 hour commute now. So, like, what kind of asshole am I? We're putting out podcasts all the time, and I don't listen to anybody else's podcasts. It's kind of a dick move.
Yeah, see, I listen to him all the time. But I don't feel too bad about it.
Well, I guess you're just better than me.
Well, yeah, but we know that.
So, anyways, tonight we're going to be talking a little bit about the Twitter witch hunt that's going on lately. It's become kind of an epidemic. So basically, what's been happening? It's been happening to a couple of celebrities. It's like Twitter just gets together and like, let's just put our heads together here and how can we fuck this person's life up? You know, like I don't like this person, or they're doing something that I don't like. Let's scrub their entire history of tweets or social media in general, and let's see if they said something racist or homophobic, and then just release it.
Yeah,
Like,
like, like it's supposed to make it so that that person it devalues whatever they have done or whatever they have accomplished.
yeah.
I don't understand that.
So I don't understand either. I know there's an obvious motive to it. The obvious motive is I don't like this person. I'm gonna try and fuck them up. And the problem is that's actually working. Like the first time I heard about this, it wasn't Kevin Hart because that was the big thing lately. But it was, what was it? Paula Deen.
Yeah, Paula Deen back in the day. I mean, she had some spicy comments that
Yeah.
that got her in some doo doo.
See, there's some pros and cons from the Paula Deen thing. First of all, the con is she lost her show. She lost pretty much everything. Not a con to
That's
me.
a pro.
That's a con to her. Um, but the pro is all of her cookware and shit is like half off now. She's got some
It's like whenever
really,
Martha Stewart went to jail.
yeah. She's got some really good cookware out there, and it's like for like you get a whole set of pots and pans for like $80, and it's amazing. Get it on Amazon,
That's
folks.
terrible. That's like kicking somebody in the ankle and being like, "Oh look, free stuff."
Hey, look, at least it's still selling. You know, it could be just like we got all this shit. What are we gonna do with it? You know?
I guess that's true. You know, it's all about them silver linings. So I have a quote that I want to read,
Okay.
and I want because and this is in the interest of the does that make this person any less favorable to I'm gonna say because usually the Twitter outrage mob is almost always left like super far left leaning. So would this make this person even a little bit, in your opinion, uh, worse off? Question mark. If people knew about it in general. Okay, here we go. I am not, nor have ever been, in favor of bringing about in any way the social or political equality of the white and black races. I am not, nor ever have been, in favor of making voters or jurors Negroes, nor qualifying them to hold office, nor to intermarry with white people. And I will say, in addition to this, that there is a physical difference between the white and black races, which I believe will forever forbid the two races from living together on terms of social and political equality. And inasmuch as they cannot so live, while they do remain together, there must be a position of superior and inferior. And I, so as much as any other man, am in favor of having the superior position assigned to the white race. Abraham Lincoln.
Okay, he said that.
Abraham Lincoln.
Wow.
Yep. But
Well,
remember, he's the great emancipator.
yeah.
He is the original, the OG champion for equal rights, right? Right? Spoilers. And everyone likes to associate this with the South's attempt at revisionist history. Abraham Lincoln didn't give a goddamn about black people. He only cared on his second term whenever he was in a position to possibly not be reelected, and that's whenever he wrote the Emancipation Proclamation. Come at me.
Oh,
come at me.
Shit.
So but again, you know, I know that a lot of people like Abraham Lincoln. I'm not one of them. Does that make him any less? Does that make him any less of the great emancipator? Does that make his actual achievements and his efforts in his presidency diminished by having that dredged up years later? Years later.
Well, okay, so it depends. I mean, to me, and yeah, that is the man who said people can't lie on the internet. Thank you, Abraham Lincoln, for your wisdom and your memes.
That's true.
It really just depends on the content. I mean, you think about it, like, there's some people out there that'll throw a racial slur or homophobic slur, like, shit, Kathy Griffin did that shit. So did a half dozen, dozens of other very far left liberal comedians and celebrities have thrown a whole bunch of racial slurs and homophobic slurs around. And it was just really honestly the sign of the times. But when you yes and no. I mean, it was a to me it was I wouldn't even call it a faux pas. It was more of a just shock humor is what it was. Let me say, you know, slurs to get people to get riled up and stuff. But as far as, you know, when you write something out like that, it's not really like in the heat of a moment or like an opinion piece for like the time. It's like, here's my entire agenda. This is how I feel about it, and this is how I'll always feel about it. That's what you just said to me, or what you just quoted from Abraham Lincoln. That's a very clear intent of how he wants things to be from now on, kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, he very clearly states his position for sure.
Yeah.
I find it like interesting that whenever it comes to like, because you said Kathy Griffin and far left comedians and commentators, they're on the right side though. You know, that's the thing. Like they're part of the bro club of shit that you can get away with saying if you're on the correct side. Like if you had, you know, for example, a right-leaning or Fox pundit say any of those other, and if you have like in a news setting, and he said the N-word, and then you have people being like, he just said the N-word. By saying the N-word, you're implying the N-word, therefore we need to pull the show down. Everyone pull it down. Firebomb the studio. But I mean, Kathy Griffin can go on, you know, national television and be like, Trump's a faggot. And then no, it's still bad.
Yeah, it's bad. It doesn't matter the source. Bad. It really doesn't. And that's the thing. And, you know, as far as my perspective on things, I mean, obviously, you know, and if anybody that's ever listened to this podcast knows that I do lean left, I do lean liberal, but this shit is just embarrassing. You know?
It really is.
It's like, okay, your political views, it's either you want more government or you want less government. That's all there is to it, whether you're left or right. But everything else is getting associated with that shit. Like, I don't know. I don't want to go too far into politics because I want to stay on task here. But it's like, I don't want to call it tribalism. It's more of a, it's red versus blue. I mean, that's all it is. It's, well, as long as it was a Democrat that said it, it's okay. No, fuck that. That's stupid.
No.
It's wrong.
I mean, it makes
regardless.
It makes more sense whenever some people say certain things. You know, like if it's really like awkward racism, usually it's from the left, because they're like, right, my homies. You're like,
yeah, that's pretty much how it is right now, Ryan. If you're a famous white person and you've ever dropped the N-bomb, someone's gonna find out and dig that shit up. Yeah, that's pretty much where it's at right now. And like we said earlier, the worst part about it is it's actually going to work in damaging that person's reputation and career. It's outrageous, and it's a huge double standard right now because you have the black community, which are mostly liberal. They use the N word like every third word 9 times out of 10. I mean, not all of them. I mean, usually the more urban ones will do that. And
can I just take a second to do a brief Kendrick Lamar's a cunt. Moving on.
Explain why, Frank. Go ahead. To anybody that hasn't heard it yet.
I'm new to the whole party. Kendrick Lamar has songs that say the N-word nonstop in his songs because he's obviously a poet laureate. He's garbage, and he's a wordsmith. No, he's not. And so his words. I mean, you can't rhyme. You can't sit there and tell me that you make shit rhyme whenever you're if you go A B A B A B in your stanzas, and the B is always ends with an IGGA. You know, I mean, like that's not rhyming. It's not rhyming anymore. Anyway, so he brings this girl on stage, and she sings the song that he wrote, and he brought her up to sing with him, and she raps it with him, and it says NIGGA in it, and she says it, and then he stops the whole fucking thing, and then has everyone boo her off the stage and puts her on the court of public opinion, up on stage with lights on her when it was supposed to be one of the most fantastical times of her life. And just treats her like absolute garbage, and we're all supposed to be okay with it because Kendrick Lamar is black and urban. And obviously, because the left is so fucking racist, he clearly is not capable of thinking for himself or having like any kind of like rational opinion, and we should just feel sad for him. And it's not the money that he's got or anything like that. You know, oh, he was the victim of racism, even though he literally wrote the song. I guess the implication was that because she's the wrong color that she should have known that censorship was involved or should have been involved. And I'm like, bro, you wrote the song. You wrote the song. Why? Like, can you imagine if like anytime that anybody wrote like a quasi spicy song, like look at Meatloaf's song about butt fucking, right? You know, would do anything for love, wouldn't do that. You know, what if when I sang that song, but I decided that, you know, there were certain parts of it that I just was like, should I say that? Because that's like your private life. Should I censor that or?
Well, that
like I would do anything for.
Listen, that was a setup too. I mean, he knew what he was doing when he brought her up on stage.
Oh,
absolutely.
Oh, yeah. and she's traumatized forever, dude. If I was that chick, I'd be like, look, I didn't get to fuck Kendrick Lamar, so I'm gonna fuck Kendrick Lamar. I mean, like, I'd be like, we're talking like, I want to hire like the biggest, beefiest, burliest lawyer on the planet to like hook him under the jaw with a meat hook and just drag him through the courts.
Yeah, and that's the kind of shit that really needs to stop, is the double standards. The fact that people say that white people are racists and black people can't be racist because they're not in power, so they can sit there and play the race card all day long, when that is in fact racism to its nth degree. Like
that line of thinking fucking blows me away.
Me too.
Like you can't be the victim of racism if you don't have power. When was power ever involved in racism? It was always one race disliking the other race. That's nothing. Who's about power? Nothing. I mean, like, you can have two people of equal social, political, and financial standing in one neighborhood that are the same in every conceivable way, that are of different ethnic backgrounds, and they can hate the shit out of each other, and they would be racist.
Yes.
That would be racism.
Yes.
I mean, sorry lefties, your fucking definition of racism is retarded.
I saw a tweet today.
Like you.
Did you hear about the whole university scandal?
Yes.
Okay.
And Aunt Becky is going to be some primetime prison hootenanny.
Good. But here's the thing, like, I saw a tweet today.
Thank you for that pat on the head. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. I saw a tweet today from, trust me, I'm just trying to keep my shit together right now, because I can't, if I wander off, I won't ever come back again. Tweet today about that whole situation, and it was, what was it? It was a black guy saying, um, with all that white privilege you guys have, you still have to cheat to get into college. Like, and I'm like, what?
Wow.
Wow. Why is this about race all of a sudden? Like, why did you have to play the
Because
race card?
because if they don't know how to live. Honestly, because like that's a lot of these people. They look for anything. Like a lot of the far left, because I'm assuming they do is far left, and I don't put the like people who are Democrats or whatever like on the same what would you call it, spectrum as people who are like super far left. It's just that they have a different political opinion. Blah, blah, blah. Anyway, far left people are fucking insane, and they have to do the super ideology thing. And if they don't, if it isn't, if a subject isn't specifically about what they are electing to be outraged about, they do not know how to act. They don't know how to talk to people. They don't know how to exist.
Yeah, at this point, yeah,
So they
absolutely. I agree.
they need it. They need it to be about race. So it's like you see, like so the college thing. So she cheated to get her dumbass kid in college because they're obviously too stupid to get it on their own, and she obviously it must be about white privilege. What?
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 Oh, yeah.
Who
Absolutely.
the fuck's anything about race?
From what I can tell, I don't know. It's just an attempt to stay relevant. It's like, let me insert myself into this discussion and use a common tactic that me and my entire base use all the time that seems to be working, so let's keep on doing it. Like,
Yeah, I mean
go ahead.
that's been like one of the things that I've the frustrating things of you're talking about, like people attempting to stay relevant. That has been consistently vexing to have to deal with, because I mean you have these shitbirds like Ilhan Omar that I watched a C-SPAN chair committee discussion where she was asking incendiary questions of the person that was being asked questions to, specifically for the ability to try to say that socialism is not the enemy, and she was trying to steer it that way. And the guy knew what she was doing. He pretty much just went, "I'm not going to answer that question because it's a stupid question." And I'm like, this is how these people live. This is how they work. Because like if it's not about them attempting to do everything that they can to destroy the American ideal, then let's talk about it. Let's talk about whatever we can in such a way we can frame it that America is the enemy all the time. I'm like, aren't you in Congress? And most kills me, like a lot of people like that are on the far left, they have this mindset that they need to make America always like out to be the enemy. I'm like, don't you live here? I mean, why? What are you doing? What are you doing? Why are you doing that? Who does that? Like shit in your own house, like on the floor. I don't get it. Maybe I'm rambling, but I'm just like, I don't understand the mindset of people that don't have the ability to have any level of personal introspection, and then to be able to say, I don't think they're talking about the same thing that I want to talk about. And rather than just being kind of cool about it and being like, you finish your sentence, they're just gonna like butt slam a fucking topic in there that has nothing to do with it.
Well, absolutely, because it's like playing with a home field advantage. It's like, well, I can't relate to that, but let me bring you over here where I can just throw out random shit and play the race card or play the whatever card, the white privilege card. It's actually, to me, it's just lazy. It's all it is. Like,
well, sure it is.
It could so. If you want to have a legit discussion and actually, further the human race along, you would try a little bit harder than continuously trying to divide us. And that's the thing, is like, it's never anything constructive. It's never something that people that play that card say that has any kind of like constructive value to it. There's no, well, I feel like there's an inequality between, whites and blacks, but here's how I think it could be fixed, or here's what I could have done better to make it better for me and my family, or I voted this way. It didn't work out in my favor, but next time I'm gonna see if I can get more people to rally behind me and vote this way. It's always like, nah, man, you're ahead of me because white privilege. You're ahead of me because I'm black. You're ahead of me because I'm this race. Insert race here, and it's like, and if you really think that way, what's your solution? Like, what are you gonna do about it? Just bitch?
What should be done?
Yeah.
I mean, of course, it depends on who you ask because, you also have like those people that are like, see what we need to do in order to, what we need to do in order to make everything on the same playing field is everyone needs to not own anything.
Just the government.
Just the government, and we'll take them into small rooms and we'll whip them until they agree. That's what we'll do. I don't know how the Soviets saluted. Sorry, I'm not as hip on that Bernie stuff as I should be.
All right, so let's talk a little bit more about this whole Twitter witch hunt thing. We got really crazy on race there for a minute.
Well, it's because here's the thing: is because they always interject it. They make it so that you basically pretty much have to talk about it in an effect to try to make it so that you can understand that what we are talking about has nothing to do with it, no matter what the ideologues will tell you. Like, it's not about race, even though they really want it to be. It's really not, and they don't know how to live any other way other than to try to make it so that it is. So it's just madness to me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to be fair, it is happening to everybody. The whole witch hunt thing. I mean, the whole thing with Kevin Hart. I mean, he got tagged with homophobia 7 years ago. Like, a long time ago when, comics were just dropping the F-bomb left and right. I mean, at the time, it wasn't such a touchy subject. It wasn't so sensitive. Like,
no,
the gay community.
Like they could actually call each other, dirty butt things, and then people go, ah. I mean, even the gay community is like, ah. And then, but now it's like, you're like, he was a. And then they say it, and then everyone fucking loses their minds.
Yeah,
it's a totally different. It's a different place.
You know where I think it went wrong. I think
I can think of a lot of places, but
specifically where it got really soft.
Oh, okay. Where?
I think after the other witch hunt happened, the Me Too movement. I think.
Oh yeah.
After that happened, it took a couple of our best comedians away. Well, one in particular, Louis C.K. If you ever watched his first stand-up, dude, he was talking about those words and he was screaming them out to the, he's like, I don't mean these words to be hateful. I just like to say them a lot. I'm not trying to say and he said, I don't want to be mean to somebody that can suck a dick. It takes a lot of courage. I can't, and I'm not saying that anything derogatory towards you. It's just I'm afraid, and I don't want to do it myself. And not that I've tried and failed. It's just So I mean, once he went away, it got really sensitive. Everybody's like, you can't say that word. It's our word. Holy shit. I mean, it's always kind of been that way with the N word, but when he came out and had that stand up, it kind of loosened up a little bit. It was weird. And then when he went away, it got worse, 10 times worse.
The Me Too movement was such a weird thing. Because at first, I started, you're kind of like, okay, I can get behind the idea of these women need to have a combined voice. But then, I was immediately concerned because the idea of a group of people combining together to pursue a singular group justice idea is terrifying all by itself.
Sure.
And that's what I viewed it as. So it's because anytime someone says, I believe in social justice, you should just leave the room, because anyone who believes in social justice and hasn't actually sat there and thought about it, they're either a fucking idiot or they're a mass murderer, or they're working on being both. Whichever one. It's just the way that it's going to play out.
Right.
So I was concerned about the idea of Me Too becoming a mass social justice movement, which is exactly what it ended up doing. Louis C.K., I never thought he was funny to begin with. I never really enjoyed his comments or his stand-up. So, him going away, I was like, nah. That didn't affect me, but the idea that he did something wrong and needed to be taken out, was something I found bizarre because, the whole idea of the Me Too thing was, you need to have consent. Didn't he do that though?
Yeah, he
What's the
asked,
problem?
and she stuck
What's the
around.
problem here? What is it? I mean, he said, "Hey, can I beat off in front of you?" And she's like, like, well, you're still in my hotel room, so is that a yeah? Is that a nah? And she's like, He's like, "Well, okay." Tom Segura did a bit in his recent stand-up about words we can't say anymore, like gay and retarded and midget. Yeah, I
Yeah.
still say retarded. I like to say retarded to people that are very far left-leaning, but I like to use it in the classical sense, like that which is slowed. And it really upsets them but like they can't say anything, and I love to look them in the eye while I say it. You know, like I prefer to purchase the yellow retardant clothes, and they're like,
Flame retardant clothes.
yeah, I have a water, no ice, dude. That's gay. Wait a minute, that's what I'm drinking.
My ice melted.
My ice didn't melt. I just didn't put any in there. Damn it.
Dude, that's gay.
That's fine.
Yeah,
It's
so
delicious.
it's taken like a wild swing in a different direction, and it happened right after the Me Too movement. So like, it's weird. What were the movements historically that we've had like 6 or 7 movements lately, but before it was like what, feminism, and then like let's start at the beginning, like in the last 30, 40 years. Okay, we had feminism, and then we had.
Oh, well, feminism really wasn't really a thing after suffrage. So 'cause
Right.
women got the vote.
Right.
And then it's like, okay, well then we're done because now feminism served its purpose. Because feminism was all about women having the same social prerogative as men to be able to have like that civic virtue. And so now then they got it. So then it was like, okay, done.
Right.
But now it means something entirely different. It's that militant feminism.
Yep.
It's no longer about equality. It's the reverse of equality, which last time I checked was tyranny. And but I mean, here's the thing about the like the Me Too movement and why it swung so hard. And this is a Marxist ideology. This is straight from your big bearded Wookiee man's little red cookbook. That when you have a certain level of outrage and you have a group of people that you can identify as being the oppressor, once those people have been removed, you have no further power base. You need to find someone else who is the oppressor. So then you start looking for reasons and looking for people to be a demonstration of the oppressor. And you start to just sort of like bounce around to different groups and to different subjects to find examples of wrongthink, because otherwise you can't have your full-on socialist movement, which is just groups of people going against groups of people, without having a constant enemy. And that's why like you went from Harvey Weinstein and then like sexual deviants and predators in Hollywood to literally anyone else. And so, because I mean, like when they got done with Hollywood, they're like, yeah, we burned it up. All right, yeah, high five, everyone. Well, who's next? Well, that was it. We're done. I mean, we nailed it. I mean, like we made our point. But then like a lot of the other Me Tooers that have like no life and they have no other impact other than to just be like a scourge on society are like, well, it's not enough. I'm not done.
Yeah, we pulled all these resources
there's
together. We
but there's no one left. I mean, if we just go after all these other people, there's no point. No, you don't understand. I'm not done. They went fucking completely insane, and then they get like fractious groups of feminists and SJWs wandering the landscape in search of the new enemy, and that's all. When I see the Me Too movement and I see where it's gone, I mean, that's all it is to me. It's just it's a fractious group of different socialists attempting to locate their version of the bourgeoisie wherever they can find it.
Listen.
And they have to defend whatever the social flavor proletariat is.
Listen, They took a lot of effort to put together that group. It took some resources, took some money, took some time. They made a Facebook group. They
We got Gloria. She's a really good typist. I mean, I mean, if she works really hard, like a little bit harder, and really kind of like takes her proteins, she probably could get up to probably 52 words a minute. I am not even shitting you. This girl is amazing.
Look,
We got her. She's running the stenography. I mean,
we don't just want
we're
to
in
let
there.
this all go to waste. I mean, we got to like find another reason to be together still. Like, and that
Yeah,
we've
it's like the only time that Go ahead, sorry.
we've yeah. We've talked about this multiple times, especially in the last few podcasts about, you know, movements in general, and it's just like once you've achieved your goal, you have to disband. It's the rules, but you never do. You never do. You're like, shit. Now what? Like, let's just let's harass that guy. Like, just stop. Just give it up and find a new cause.
Mhm.
You're supposed to disperse and then go find a new special interest group. You can't
Well, I
just
mean, like,
recycle feminism, okay?
If we take feminism away, we actually like look at the Me Too movement. We say, okay, now it's done. Alyssa Milano will just fade into obscurity, like she should. I always like to imagine that I would one day would like to actually be in a room with Alyssa Milano, and I like to treat her like Mab from the TV miniseries of Merlin with Sam Neill, and then just to have her because
Turn
like
around.
when she talks, I hear the same voice like I'm in Me Too movement. And like that's what when she tweets, that's what I hear in my head. And I want to be in the same room with her when she just starts screaming about feminism, her little harpy screech. I just want to turn around and walk away.
Turn a 180.
And just like leave her in a big fucking empty room to fade away. By that I mean like lock her in a basement.
Listen, how good was that miniseries? It was fucking amazing.
So good. Merlin, Sam Neill is my Merlin.
Yeah, man. Hashtag my Merlin.
Yeah. I wonder if Sam Neill's on Twitter. We should just do like anything. Anytime that I post anything, I'm just gonna put, you know, tag him and then put hashtag my Merlin.
Yeah, dude. So, okay, what I was getting at though, we did the feminism, we did the what was there a big movement in the 90s? Like, because feminism started in the 70s, right? The late 60s. Like before the 19th Amendment and all that stuff. I mean, after the 19th Amendment. Sorry.
It was in the 60s. Yeah. Oh, movements in the 90s. That's right on Google.
Hmm.
Social movements in the 1990s. Let's take a look. Mobilization for global justice. Ha ha ha. You all have little red flags too. Irony. Oh, okay. Later in the 90s with the anti-globalization movement that propelled into anti-World Trade Organization, anti-World Bank, and neoliberalism protests. Many supporters of anti-globalization say they are in support of globalization in regards to communication and people, but are opposed to the globalization of corporate powers. I can kind of get that. Participants base their criticism on a number of related ideas. What is shared is that participants oppose what they see as large multinational corporations having unregulated political power exercised through trade agreements and deregulated financial markets. Specifically, corporations are accused of seeking to maximize profit at the expense of work safety conditions and standards, labor hiring and compensation standards, environmental conservation principles, and the integrity of national legislative authority, independence, and sovereignty. I can see how this movement ended, because most of those things have been achieved.
Yes, absolutely.
Well done. Well done, everyone.
Good.
Look,
Seriously,
you know
that was a
what?
good
And
one.
on you. Yeah, good on you, Mobilization for Global Justice, because you also disbanded. Well done.
Yes, you relinquished your emergency powers once the war was over.
Yeah.
You didn't have to
It
have
was
the
just
Jedi
like-
come in and fucking seize your power.
Yeah, it was just you. I mean, everyone else is still going. Like, look, the anti-Vietnam War movement, still going.
What?
They're still going. They're still those fucking. They're all gray now, but these nasty old fucking hippies that are super anti anyone who was in Vietnam. Get the fuck out of here. These dirty hippies, like they had kids, and now their kids are dirty hippies, and they're like, all American troops do, man, is just burn babies. Yeah? You sure you're not talking about Burma? Because the Burmese army, they burn babies.
Yeah.
Where's your protest then? That was it. That was the only one. Neoliberalism.
Yeah,
which
that
doesn't
was
even count.
That was about it. And honestly, there wasn't shit in the 90s. I mean, it was everybody kind of. I don't want to say everybody kind of got along because, well, in the 90s there was the whole Rodney King beatings and shit like that. I mean, and then the NWA, that shit sparked race riots, and so that was a serious movement for, what was it for? It was just looting and rioting about that was inequality, racial inequality.
Yeah. Yeah, it was just rioting. I mean, like, it really wasn't even about that. It wasn't about anything in particular other than just we have the ability to get out there and destroy some stuff under the facade of social outrage.
Yeah.
It's just like Ferguson.
Yes.
Yeah, we're wrong, and we're all in the wrong, and it's really bad, and it's really terrible. So obviously the answer is to burn down my neighborhood and steal everything.
Yeah, I mean,
nailed it.
You got to cause a confusion while you go steal shit. So yeah, the 90s wasn't really that huge as far as movements are concerned. Now it's fucking, there's like a movement every other month.
I will say that like a lot of the movements listed in the 60s never really went away. Like I said, the anti-Vietnam one, that's just people being dicks. That's not really a movement anymore. It's just sort of like general cuntish behavior. Civil rights movement, I would say that it's over, but you know, a lot of these like Black Lives Matter and these like Black Panthers and a lot of these other black supremacist hate groups, they can't just make like the song and fucking let it go.
Right.
The environmental movement, which is kind of hit and miss. The gay rights movement, the students movement, and the women's movement. Yeah, they're all still here.
Yeah. They've morphed into many different things.
50 goddamn years and you guys are still on about it. Come on now.
Yeah. So, okay, let me ask you this. And this is the devil's advocate part. So, what good comes from this stuff? What good comes from the movements? What good comes from people on these witch hunts? What is the positive thing that comes from people aggressively looking to ruin somebody else's career, or aggressively looking to try and seize power and reign supreme? What good can come from it?
Nothing. The only good that comes from it is that it gives people a chance to sit there, lean back in their lazy boy after they got done sending out some really, really nasty tweet and trying to get someone obliterated, and go, yeah, I just completely ended the patriarchy by myself.
Okay.
You know, until like the next 30 seconds, and they're outraged about something else.
So that's from their perspective. What about the victim's perspective? What about the recipient of that type of scrutiny, that type of attack? What good can they turn it into?
Oh man, they can. I mean, look at the Covington kids. They can fucking turn into like some serious potential cash.
Well, yeah.
I mean, Washington Post, CNN are getting brutally fist fucked right now, and it is sweet.
Yeah, they committed libel. They should be fucking nailed to the cross.
I would love to see a for sale sign outside the CNN tower.
That would be sweet. See, that's the thing right there, and we talked about this, I think, in the previous podcast, where the good that can come from this is it's an opportunity. It's an absolute opportunity to shut these people up the right way. Sure, you can rage out. Sure, you can scream and yell and just fucking let them get to you and make a stupid mistake and honestly fuel their fire even more. Or you could just wait till they make a terrible legal mistake and just fucking nail them to the cross.
That's the best part about stuff like this is that let me organize my thoughts. Whenever you have an ideology that you want to try to get rid of, I think I've said this before on podcasts, the best thing that you can do is give it a voice. And to let it burn itself out. Because there's only so much, you know, psychologically it's been proven that there's only so much that you can really do whenever you're trying to sustain yourself purely on outrage. There's only so far you can go. There's only so much outrage that you can consistently make to really get people interested whenever it's built on effectively nothing, or on just smoke and mirrors, and you're making shit up. And people won't stick around for it. They don't care, because after a while you're like, okay, how is everyone a racist? How is everyone a misogynist?
Right.
How is that even possible? How do you listen to yourself? So it's like you give these people a platform and let them talk out, and then let them lash out. So you let them go completely hog wild, and then they lay all their cards on the table, and you look at it and go, "That's insane." And everyone that's involved, and like everyone on Twitter, for example, looks at it and goes, "Yeah, that's insane. That's an insane position to have. That is a crazy person's position." And then they lose a shitload of points. And then you have people that are more moderate that actually cite their sources, that actually have like say like, hey, we actually can solve the problem if we do X, or we have this position, and they actually can like have a roadmap to peaceable reintegration, which is something that most of these far left or far right people will never do, ever, because that's not part of the game for them. Part of the game for them is complete ownership or totalitarianism. They need to own it all. They need to be it all. And if you disagree, you should go to the gulag. So let them talk. Let them ruin themselves. It's wonderful. Look at, again, I brought it up earlier, but look at Ilhan Omar. She's fucking devastating herself. And all we have to do is just go for it.
Well, yeah.
Speak your mind.
And that's the thing is, eventually they'll make a mistake, much like the whole Covington kid thing. I mean, people were so fucking outraged, and they all just jumped that bandwagon of, let's try and get somebody, not me, I'm not going to go down there and do it, but let me rile somebody up enough to go hurt this kid. Like, which is inciting violence, which is illegal, and they're going to get sued as well. So you let them rile themselves up good enough, and eventually they're going to make a mistake, and eventually they're done. I mean, when you have that big of a mouth and you're that passionate about something, you're bound to fuck up. And once you do, which I think this Covington kid thing started to swing things around, and not necessarily just for him, but people are, if you troll through the forums, you look through Reddit, you look through, I don't know, I'm not a 4chan person, but you look through all these forums, these social media platforms, it's starting to come around. People are not letting this shit fly anymore. People are not letting the race card fly anymore. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've seen on Reddit, in the Black People Twitter subreddit, which I do enjoy. There's a lot of funny stuff on there. People are not standing up for this shit anymore, where everything has to be about race. I mean, sure, go ahead and embrace your culture, and that's something you should do. Embrace your heritage, but don't let it divide us as a country. Don't let us divide us as the human race. Be proud of where you came from, but don't sit there and shit on everybody else's skin colors and heritage. But it's not working anymore. People don't want to hear it. People are done hearing it. It's so fucking tired. It's so tired. Every time I say something that is talking about maybe like statistics or anything like that, because that whole thing with the university scandal, when I read through the comments of that tweet, it was, okay, why does this have to be about race? Well, clearly statistically there's way more white people in college, or in USC or whatever college it was, than there's black people. And they're like, yeah, and there's more white people in general. Why?
Yeah, I mean, statistically it's likely.
Yeah, it's most likely to happen because there's just more white people. There's nothing you could do about that other than have a whole bunch of babies or kill off a bunch of white people. Which one is it going to be? Neither. Because
I can tell you which one that the BLM's going to go for.
Oh yeah, for sure. But it's not going to be either, and you're just going to have to get over it and stop trying to fucking create parallels between statistics that don't matter and start taking some fucking personal responsibility. You want to get into a good college? Try hard. If you can't, if you don't do it, get into a less good college. Make it any way you can, but don't sit there and just bitch. That's all we ever hear anymore is bitching from the think tank, from the fucking echo chamber. Oh, well, if it wasn't, woe is me, if it wasn't so hard for me to succeed, I would totally succeed. Shut up. We're done hearing it. Everybody's done really, hearing it.
The by and large, the almost all of the social ills that we face today would be answered and handled almost instantly if people would literally just do that. Just take a modicum of responsibility for themselves, for their own lives first before they worry about the lives of others.
Absolutely.
But, where's the fun in that?
Yeah. Okay, so let's segue to this other part of the topic I wanted to talk about. So I did some listening to. I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like this is all original thoughts. Okay. I did some listening on, what was it? It was Joe Rogan's podcast about the Twitter automation. Bots, basically. So there was this analyst that was scrubbing through, millions of tweets, and she made some parallels on where the bots are coming from, what their agenda is, and she didn't come out and say it. She just, threw out the statistics and let Joe decide, basically, or let the listeners decide. But there was, hundreds of thousands of accounts strewn across Twitter, strewn across Facebook, Instagram, all these accounts that are all bots. They're all Russian bots, and they are Russian because you can tell through their history, because it's like they upgraded the bot to bot 2.0. The original version of the bot was somebody speaking in clear Russian, but it was like they were like wearing a MAGA hat or something, like it was representing somebody in Texas. And then the second iteration of it was perfect English, like English that was so perfect that straight out of a fucking English lit book, which most people in Texas don't speak like that. People use slang. People use, colloquialism. They don't say, furthermore, I think that. Like, they don't speak in Old English, basically. So, and then Bot 3.0 was, they were just literally copying and pasting shit from other people's Twitters. Like, they were increasing the volume of the echo chambers, what they were doing. So instead of like coming up with their own original shit or typing stuff from scratch or trying really hard to fit in, they just copied and pasted shit. And some of the biggest like influential things that these bots were doing were just copying and pasting memes. And they got really fucking good at it and really clever about it. Dude, okay. So they got so good at this that they literally make Facebook groups, right? And they get people to join the Facebook group, right? And she was calling this tribalism, which was pretty cool.
It is.
And they weren't even bots at this point. They're agents, but they became bots. It was like they were activating like sleeper cells. Like, they hired people to make videos for them to push the message. They hired like a self-defense teacher to teach black people how to defend themselves during an altercation with the police. Like, they're paying people to push this kind of agenda. The funniest thing I heard, and what she was saying was, they put two groups right next to each other. They created a Facebook event, okay? Two different ones. It was in Texas, and it was a cessation group in Texas that was, basically anti-Muslim, saying, take back our country from the Muslims. And then they made another event with their other group that was pro-Muslim, like Muslim heritage and culture protection. And they literally sent them to the same place, but right across the street from each other. At the same time.
Yeah.
Like,
let them fight.
No. Like, how fucking crazy is that? It worked. There was like, between 50 and 100 people on each side. And it was Russian trolls.
Gangs of New York style, baby.
Yeah. Yeah, so number one, how crazy is that? Number two, it's working, man. They're fucking getting through to these people, and some of these accounts, some of these groups have like, hundreds of thousands of members, and they're all created by a Russian troll. How do you feel that?
People,
go ahead.
people are pretty fucking gullible. I mean, people are really gullible, and like you know, it kind of goes back to the you should really consider reading something, anything. It doesn't have to be like I'm not gonna be like that guy who's like you should read a book. No, but I mean, if you're gonna if you're gonna have an ideology, you're gonna participate in the thought experiment of an ideology, I guess, you should know everything about it.
Yeah.
You should do as much as you possibly can to educate yourself. So never so you see these these memes that come up, and you're like, rather than just looking at it and be like, it's the truth, and then burning the entire house down, you know, you look at it and go, that doesn't. I mean, like, you know, is that true? And then you go and you read about it, and then like, you know, you have 6 reputable sources, and they go, okay, well, yeah, it is true. Now you can burn your house down.
Yeah. Yeah.
Versus like, you know, like I said, you have like your instant knee-jerk reaction is to just be outraged as hell. That's not good. That's a stupid thing to do. I'm still having a hard time coming back from the Russian guy with the MAGA hat. I mean, mostly because I think that would literally have answered all the questions if they had just like, but you know, not like if like the Mueller investigation came out and Mueller just doesn't say anything, just and then pushes a button, and it's just like this guy with like that Russian chisel jaw, and he's kind of like St. Peter's Square behind him, or the Kremlin behind him. He's got a MAGA hat and be like, I want Donald Trump to win the election because I don't like Muslims and I don't like Mexicans. For Donald Trump, obviously. And then, and then Mueller just goes.
See, that's the thing too, is that
and then just leaves.
The trolls were, you know, obviously they were out in mass during the election, and yes, they were very pro-Trump and very anti-Hillary. And the question was, did it actually affect the election? And it's not necessarily the whole Mueller's going to find out whether there was collusion or not, but
right,
whether there was or not, did it affect the election?
I honestly, I personally I don't think that it did. I actually don't think that it did. From the majority of people that I've talked to, I don't think that would have made any difference. And it's specifically because of the DNC and OBZ. I mean, like if it hadn't been for them pretty much like fucking up the pudding, we may have had but Trump would have had probably not one. I mean, like,
well, I think that's
I don't think he would have won at
that's
all.
a big part of it. I think it's a big part of why Trump won. But I think another big part of it is, and I think the opposite. I think that those trolls did have an effect, because a lot of the trolls weren't pushing pro-Trump. They were pushing pro-anybody but Hillary. They were pushing pro-Jill Stein, pro-whatever the fuck his name was.
Yeah, but then look at it though, because I mean, like, you know, so Jill Stein didn't get hardly anything.
Yeah, but she got enough. That's the thing.
No.
It dispersed the Democratic base to vote for anybody but Hillary. Not entirely, but enough.
I think honestly, I think that Hillary did enough damage on her own to have justified not being elected. And honestly, I don't. Maybe it's just me because like I'm not like enormous on social media, but like, who let the dogs out? Oh, you fucking muted it. That'd have been great. Now I lost my train of thought completely. But no, so like I don't think that Russian trolls had much, if anything, to really do with Jill Stein getting her votes, because I think she would have gotten her votes out of the way, because the people who were going to vote for her were probably going to vote for her no matter what. Right. I mean, if you literally see anything Jill Stein ever did, it's so fucking awkward. I can't imagine anyone that isn't already bought in being like, that's the one. That's who's going to lead this nation to greatness. Because, I mean, like, man, I watched some of her vids and some of her conferences, and I'm like, oh, you're a weird bird. Oh, you are a weird lady. I don't think so.
Well, I could
Like
say
I would take Trump over Jill Stein.
I could say this that it's definitely influential enough to get a good handful of people organized to do some things. So it does have an impact on things as far as it, having a determining factor on the election. It's hard to say. I personally feel that
Oh, well,
it definitely had a
yeah.
hand in it. But I mean, let's just put it this way. Hillary was a terrible choice. But Trump was also a terrible choice, and he had so much stacked against him every step of the way. God, it was just like he
I
still
mean,
won.
I agree, but I disagree, and that's all. Actually, I think that is actually the reason why he ended up winning, because he had a bunch of shit stacked against him. Because you had, you have on one hand you have the silent majority who have never been able to properly have a conversation with their others on the political spectrum, and they have been demonized during the election and before the election
Yeah,
and throughout the 8 years of Obese. And then so, Trump had a lot going against him. But whenever he started to actually like make some headway, the silent majority were like, vote for Donald Trump. Fuck all you guys for saying the shit about me you did.
yeah,
And I think that's really mostly what it was. That's why I'm saying like, they, am I saying that they had an impact socially on other things? Well, sure. But do I think that they had enough of an impact to sway the election? I don't think that it would have really mattered, because I think that the majority of people were already ready to vote for Trump anyway, because they were pissed off.
yeah,
I mean, they were pissed. They were outraged at the outrage culture, and you know what? Justifiably so, in my opinion.
yeah, absolutely. Huh?
That's the thing that like upsets me, because like I say stuff like that, and then people get nutty on me, like oh my god, you like Donald Trump. Like, no, I never said that. What I'm saying is I understand why he got elected, and really, you being outraged, it's your fault.
Yeah,
You're the reason why Donald Trump has been elected. Now, I would have liked to have somebody who could think a little bit. But hey, I hate to break it to you, last election cycle, we didn't get anybody like that. So, I mean, we were pretty much out of luck. Donald Trump, I mean, hell, might as well. I don't like that he was even in, I don't like that he was even in the running. It makes me crazy.
yeah. I mean, that's the best they had to offer, apparently.
Yeah, I mean, like, for real though, reality TV star is the best we had to offer. But I mean, I wonder if that's how people felt about Reagan. Feel like this is the best we got, cowboy star, really? And then he ends up being like one of the best presidents in U.S. history. Okay, I was really hoping whenever he got elected, and it became kind of like, he's obviously gonna get elected. I was really hoping that it would be like that thing with Reagan, where like everybody was like, oh my God, he's so terrible, it's so stupid. We have a movie person, and blah blah blah, and then he gets in there and just absolutely kills it.
That
Not
would
so
have been
much.
so.
But
Honestly,
I don't think that. But Reagan didn't have nearly the pushback that Trump does. I'm not saying he would have done a fucking knock out of the park job. Don't think that. But I'm saying that Reagan didn't have the level of difficulties that Trump does.
well, I mean, Reagan can form full sentences without, the assistance of a teleprompter or a team of people to teaching him how to speak. So at least there's
Sure,
that.
but again, but he was an actual actor too. I mean, that helps.
An actual actor, not just somebody that paid other people to act.
Well, I mean, Trump, they had Trump, hired Trump to be Trump.
Yeah.
They didn't hire Trump to play King Lear. I mean, so like you had Reagan, who was actually supposed to legitimately act, versus Trump, who was supposed to just be like, an orange douchebag.
Hooray!
Nailed it. Nailed it.
You got really hosing that loot box, dude.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, all I'm saying is I really want him to do good. Because here's the thing. I know that he can't talk well, because we watched all the primaries. Hell, we even did a live cast on all the primaries. But, I really wanted him to do well. I'm like, maybe he just talks like a fucking buffoon, but he's gonna get in there, he's gonna absolutely kill it. And he didn't. And I was very sad.
See, that's the thing too. Like, despite me not voting for Trump, me not wanting Trump to win, I still felt the same way. I'm like, okay. I hope he does a good job. I mean, what more can you do, bitch?
Right.
Because that's what half the country is
like,
doing right now.
It happened. You know, it happened. Now you need to get over it. Now you need to get behind your president. Now you need to make things happen. That's how I felt about Obama. I didn't fucking want Obama to win either.
Yeah.
But you know what? You know, Obama won. And I'm like, okay, we voted a traitor in the office a second time. Okay. But hey, you know, let's do the best thing that we possibly can. Let's try to make it good for the country. I didn't sit there and fucking get on my social medias and be like, oh my God, the world is ending. Everything is terrible. You know, it must be, I don't know. I don't do the epithets. So like, I have no idea. I was so unimpressed with the way that media has responded to Trump. Actually, I guess I should say realistically, the way that the Democratic left has responded to Trump being president. Because really, we should not be attempting to divide the shit. You like disagree with the president all day long. Fine. Attempt to split a nation in half along like, you know, ideological and social boundaries. Not so much. Not so much.
Well, I mean, as far as the extremist left is concerned, he is the embodiment of everything they hate and everything they want eradicated. So that's why it's so outspoken these last couple of years.
Well, and I don't blame him for being like so incredibly upset by him and offended by him, because like, you know, as much as he is a terrible person, he is a person.
Yeah.
Donald Trump is a singular entity, a non-identifiable social group person. He is an individual, and they cannot fucking deal with that.
Right.
That is not okay in the left playbook. Sorry that you have thoughts on your own. That is not acceptable. You need to pick a group. So that, because I mean, even Trump even said whenever he was running, he was like, you know, well, I'll run as whatever, just like I want to run.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, I happen to be running as a Republican. All right. Whatever. I mean, I don't care. I run as an independent. I'm gonna win. That's my goal. I'm gonna win. And like that fucks them up. I mean, the far left, they cannot deal with that shit. I mean, like, granted, since we're still talking about Twitter, at least Donald Trump is going to be very, very, very would be very, very, very easy to dredge something up. But the funniest part about dredging something up on Donald Trump is, aside from the fact that he doesn't care, he'll probably go, "Yeah, what about it?
No,
what about it? Yeah,
I
said that.
It was a joke.
I don't even fucking remember. You can't take a joke?
You can't take a joke. It was a joke. Come on now. Come on. I totally didn't mean it. And even if I did, it's not that big a deal.
I mean, here's the thing. Real talk. It's not.
It's really not. I mean,
it's not that big a deal. It's not that big a deal. That's what, like, let's just say, like, you know, you went online as a celebrity and you told the spiciest of jokes. You know, I mean, like, we're talking like it drops N-bombs, it calls people faggot. I mean, all that other kind of shit. And then you tweet it out. And like the world itself stopped spinning. Now you have something to bitch about. But I mean, like, nothing's going to happen. No one died.
Well,
who died?
The only thing I can disagree with on that one is that it's just like Nixon, for example. You found out after, you know, you heard the tapes about how incredibly racist he was and how much he really hated black people. And
right.
You think about it, and if it were just a random celebrity, okay, whatever. That's what that person can think whatever the fuck they want. And then the left can be outraged and say we want their job, whatever. But if it's the president and you find out that they're like a legit like hate monger, it kind of matters. It matters because it might influence their decisions.
But it might. That's the thing. It might. It actually has to.
You're right.
It really matter. It actually has to do something.
But okay, so let me ask you this.
For example. Go ahead.
Let me ask you this. So It has to, but at what point is it too late? Like you put a policy in place that is, very much so against, black people or whatever race you want to put out there, and it's signed into law. Well, now it's too late. You voted for somebody that you thought was going to be impartial, that you thought was going to have moral values and have at least enough head on their shoulders to include everybody instead of just a singular race. And this is just an extreme example, but
right, no, I know this is all hypothetical.
yeah, but by then, if it all fucking goes through, oh shit, we should have known better. Why didn't we see the writing on the wall that this guy was a racist and he was going to try and push this kind of agenda through? So as far as the president's concerned, or even like any politician that has influence over making laws, I feel it's very relevant.
Disagree. The reason being because there's a reason why our Constitution is the bedrock of Western civilization that it is, in that it has the checks and balances. So let's just say, like, you have like the president who, he's like, well, I decided to become president for whatever reason. You idiots elected me, even though like up till this point I wasn't a waitress or anything. I was actually the Grand Wizard of the KKK. I mean, I feel like my allegiance is pretty open, and you voted for me, and that's stupid. But so let's say we did, and he's openly racist, but he doesn't do anything that's specifically racist. But then whenever he does sign a bill, let's just say hypothetically signs a bill in that skirts the line of being kind of, racially questionable. It would also have to imply that the entire body of Congress is incapable of looking at it and going, no, or they're all racist too.
Right.
I mean, they would have to all be racist, or at least 60%.
Right.
So they would have to all be racist. And then let's just say it gets through them. Then it goes to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court would have to also all be racist. So unless everyone is racist, it doesn't matter. He could go out there. I mean, he could be like, look, I'd really like to go to the NAACP meeting, but I got a cross burning. So it's going to conflict with that. I'm going to go do that instead because I don't like you black folks. And then I'm going to go ahead, bye. And then, so, he goes to a cross burning and so people can be completely fucking insane. And then, he signs into a bill that, lowers intercity tax,
Cuts.
Obligations to a certain amount. That, so like, yeah, but he's racist. Yeah, but he also helped you. What do you want? I mean, like you can't. I mean, where does your outrage go? I mean, I almost want a president like that. That's super inflammatory, but then he does really, really smart, very good things for the communities that openly hate him. Just because I want to see him just like have like a complete existential meltdown. They're like, but he's supposed to be racist. Yeah, but he really helped the black community a lot. But he's supposed to hate black people, but he doesn't. Ah! That'd be wonderful. I would love that. That would make me super happy. But I mean, perfect. An actual real life example of a president that put something super racist into effect and actually got through because he did it in the guise of trying to help the community that he was actually basically destroying, and that was LBJ, who was incredibly fucking racist.
Yeah.
And he signed in the the Greatest Nation bill, and that has to this day devastated the inner city black community. Devastated.
What was it about?
And everyone's like, it was basically it was the idea that we are going to give free stuff constantly to people of color that are disenfranchised and have a difficult time in life. If there's a black woman that has one child, she will be paid this much money. If she has two children, she'll be paid this much money. It was the bill that was based on a lot of socialist principles that had the idea that we are going to have women not get married, but instead marry the government, and that they were going to have kids and be paid ad infinitum to just be brood mares.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's openly racist. I look at that and I look at the bill and I look at the wording and I'm like, That's super duper racist, actually. I mean, there's like there's nothing. You can't read that and go, sounds good. And for whatever reason, the left is like, man, this bill really brought the black community up. I'm like, no, it brought them down.
Yeah.
How could you look at that and say it was good? But everyone was like, oh well, he's giving them free shit. And that's where it started, where you had the liberals being like, or the left being like, if we give the black community things for free, they'll vote for us. And then and his predictions where he said he was audio recorded, and he said, if I put this bill into effect, I'll have these N-words voting Democrat for 100 years. It's been 50 years. Still happening. Sucks. So that's a prediction I wish we didn't happen.
Yeah. Now that you told me about that, it's all coming back to me. Shit. Well, tell you what. It's a lot to think about, and for sure, like, going back on to, our original topic, I'd love to say something of, significance of something quippy about the whole witch hunt thing, other than it's bad, but
It's bad.
I got nothing. I wish it would stop, and it needs to stop, because it's setting a terrible precedent for the future. I mean, and it's a terrible precedent now, but who knows what the next terrible thing is going to be that the social justice community wants to push. People are losing their fucking jobs and their careers over thoughts and opinions and stuff that was, really just brushed under the rug a decade ago. I mean, there's some instances where it actually does require a little bit of scrutiny, but very few. Like, I don't know, the whole R. Kelly thing. He got off big time on the the whole trial originally, and then some new information surfaced, and they rehashed all of that shit. Now he's going to jail. So
I mean, is he?
He is.
I stopped following because he's a celebrity and I don't care.
He's going to jail. He's definitely going to jail. So there are some instances where it does hold water, but very few, and it shouldn't be used so freely. It should be used when there is a monster out there still among us and needs to be locked up. Not, I don't like what that person has to say, I disagree with them, get him out of here.
Yeah, I do.
So
I hate it. I hate it so much.
I don't know. It's the worst. But with that being said, definitely keep an eye out, especially for these bots. They're really fucking convincing nowadays. They almost entirely communicate with memes now. Like, I'm not joking. They avoid typing out original thoughts because it will give them away. So if you like a meme page, or you like a Facebook group that's, the moderators only ever speak in memes, it's probably a Russian bot. So
super.
Just use your fucking head, use some common sense, and realize that you might be getting played. And it is full on double agent style disinformation campaign. That's exactly what it is. So try not to be influenced by it. I know we, the Dashley gentlemen here, aren't exactly super duper large and influential, but if you, one of the 15 people that listen to us, do hear this, please be careful. And on that note, I think we're gonna
just always take the opportunity to try to read further.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So like, if someone says something, like, go, okay, but what else? And always ask that, but what else? Or where is it from? Always, question everything.
corroborate. Think for yourself. Question the masses, the authority.
Question authority.
Power to the people.
I'm done. I got nothing.
All right, we're gonna call it.
The people.
I hope y'all enjoyed what we had to say today and found it at least somewhat entertaining. We enjoyed having this conversation, so we do it because of you guys. So if you like what you heard, like what you saw, please go ahead and subscribe or follow us. We're on Twitter. Irony. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. We've got our own website, dastardlygentleman.com. If you want to send us an email, we're mail@dastardlygentleman. If you want to send us a little donation, you can. We're at streamlabs.com/dastardlygentleman. We're everywhere. So,
everywhere you want to be.
So, don't be a stranger. We'd love to hear from you. And until next time, we'll talk to you later. Bye. Bye.
Are we doing the outro credits?
I didn't add them. But here's an idle screen.
Look at this photograph. Every time I do it makes me laugh.